Breakfast with Lucian. Written by Geordie Greig. Read by John Standing. What matter out of cavern comes a voice, and all it knows is that one word, rejoice. Conduct and work grow coarse, and coarse the soul. What matter? Those that rocky face holds dear, lovers of horses and of women shall, from marble of a broken sepulchre, or dark betwixt the polecat and the owl, or any rich, dark, nothing disinter, the workman, noble and saint, and all things run on that unfashionable gyre again. The Gyres, W.B. Yeats. Dalnot 2, H.L.C. Greig, 1925 to 2012. Preface. In the mid-1990s, Lucian Freud stopped publication of his authorized biography. Even though he had cooperated with the writer, he paid him off with a substantial sum. When Lucian read the manuscript, he was appalled that so many intimate details would enter the public domain. The idea that the book would be published in his lifetime was abandoned. When I was news reporter on the Sunday Times in the late 1980s, another writer told me that East End gangsters had come round to his house at Freud's request and threatened him with unpleasant consequences if he did not stop researching a biography. That book withered too. This book avoided his obstructions. We met for breakfast regularly over the last 10 years of his life, and during our many conversations, Lucian gradually opened up. Eventually, he was happy for me to record what we said. We had an understanding that it was fine for me to publish what he told me in different magazines and newspapers. The resulting book, started after Lucian's death, is a personal perspective on his life and work by someone who followed his career for 35 years, but only gained his confidence and trust in his last decade. Chapter 1. Breakfast. Scruffy, slightly stooped, and silent, the two men looked like characters arriving for a dress rehearsal of Waiting for Godot. Breakfast with Lucian invariably began the same way, with the grand old man of British art and his younger assistant, David Dawson, walking the few doors down from the painter's home in Kensington Church Street in Notting Hill to Clarke's restaurant. Lucian often wore a paint-flecked grey cashmere overcoat and black lace-up workman's boots, which gave him a sartorial edginess. The coat was from Issey Miyake, and the unironed white shirt was crumpled, but expensive. Lucian entered Clarke's before the curtain went up. He and David would slip through the delicatessen next door to the restaurant via a side passage into the empty dining room. The shop does a brisk trade in almond croissant, pain au chocolat, organic cheeses, quiches, lemon tart, sausage rolls and breads. But breakfast next door was a privilege that Sally Clarke, the eponymous owner of the restaurant, one of Lucian's last sitters, only ever granted to him. In effect, it became Lucian's private salon for himself and his guests. It's a small, upmarket restaurant that has been a fixture in Kensington for more than a quarter of a century. Its customers often remark that it felt more like going to a dinner party than a restaurant. As for most of that time, Sally Clarke offered no menu choice, only what she decided to cook that day. It has relaxed that distinction in recent years to give a choice of 3 or 4 dishes every day. Always what is freshest on the market. It is a discreet and popular venue for the top brass of the BBC and people like Brian Ferry, Salman Rushdie and Dame Maggie Smith. When the Burmese opposition leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, came to the UK in June 2012 after a 24-year exile, it was where she spent her one lunch in London on her 67th birthday. Cashmered English ladies of a certain age enjoy its quiet atmosphere. A card on the table indicates that mobile phones are forbidden. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge are customers. It is situated amongst estate agents and specialist antique shops, and is easily missable. But once through its wood and glass,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?